I'm Solaris Lurvin, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, I'm Spaceboy.
And I'm Surlana.
And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe
on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Spaceboy, and across from me is the lovely Surlana, and this is Spaceboy Universe. It is December 22nd, 2018, and we're on show number 3.12. And tonight we're going to be talking about the dark side of Christmas. And as always, follow us on Twitter. That's at the SBU Universe. Follow Surlana at Surlana. Follow me, that's Spaceboy at Spaceboy Music. Make sure to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag SBU Universe and hashtag Space Cadets. In addition to Twitter, you can find us all over social media. Just search for Spaceboy Universe. Hey, Space Cadets, you'll want to check out our YouTube channel. We do more than the archive of shows there. There is video content from SB Music, video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, and so much more. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when new content is available. Somewhere on here. I don't know it right now, but I'm not going to search for it because I might cause an accident on over here. Can't catch a show live? No problemo. Take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartMedia, and Spotify, because we like to broadcast. And with that magical note, let me bring in my lovely co-host, Surlana.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm bringing you in.
I'm talking to two people in chat.
Well, you know, they're not going anywhere. They're in for the
That's true.
They're in for the 3-hour listen.
Man. That's a long haul, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe we do this for 3 hours. I don't think anybody wants to listen to this for 3 hours.
No, there's lots of people that love.
Well, shall we just jump into it, or do we want to do some back and forth?
Oh, what is there to do back and forth?
Well, for me, I clocked out of work yesterday at my clock out time, and I don't go back till the new year.
Yeah, they don't really care about that. Let's move on.
So... I want to give you a piece of advice out here, especially you, Spaceboy, because I want you to run out and do this, and then next thing you know, we're in trouble. If you have this idea that you're going to launch your own satellite, be warned, you could get hit with a fine that will absolutely cripple you. So the FCC slams a spaceflight company with $900,000 fine over an illegal satellite launch. I guess they didn't register it or something. They just said, hey, let's just do it.
I guess so.
So space startup Swarm Technologies launched 4 quote-unquote tiny satellites. I have to wonder what their definition of tiny is, without government approval earlier this year. And they agreed to pay $900,000 to the U.S. Treasury for the unauthorized flight.
Do we know what the satellites are for?
Well, let's see. This part of this, with the settlement with the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, they'll have to adhere to strict compliance. Let's see. They're really new to the space field, and they're hoping to send up 100 satellites into orbit to beam global internet coverage for Earth-connected devices.
I had heard that Zuckerberg was trying to do something similar to this too, to get internet into remote places and to launch these little mini satellites. I wonder
think this must be, it says on the 12th of January this year, they launched their first satellites on an Indian PSLV rocket. 4 tiny devices known as the Space Bees. And they tried to do this, but they had been denied a license for these satellites by the FCC. So I guess maybe they went, screw it, we're doing it. And
so did they launch?
Better ask forgiveness and permission, huh?
So you mentioned an Indian rocket. So did they launch in India?
That would be my understanding. The agency was worried that Space Bees were too small and be too difficult to track from Earth. How small are they? Jeez.
Well, the reality, that's kind of bogus because they track a lot of small stuff
making it too hard to know if they collide with other satellites. So they opened an investigation of this. The agency found they had not only had swarm launched without a license and also illegally used ground communications in Georgia. Now, they don't say if that's Georgia, Russia, or Georgia, the state in the U.S., to communicate with satellites. I'm guessing this is Russia. The company had done some unlawful tests with weather balloons and other equipment before they launched. So they just got slapped on the hand all the way around, So they're going to pay the fine. They agree to submit reports before they make another move. They have to put details about their launch, what they're going to carry, time, location, contact info. So, yeah, I can understand what the worry would be over launching something without it being registered. You don't know who that company is. You don't know what they have. Is it so small you can't track it? So I kind of see our government's, argument against it. But for them to go and do all that illegally, that's pretty out there. I think that's ballsy. But, yeah. Can you believe that?
Well, the part I'm having a problem with is that them saying that they wouldn't be able to track these small items when there is stuff that gets lost on the space shuttle when they're working on satellites, like wrenches and bolts and things like that Space Command up there at NORAD tracks these things. And so
you're saying there's no such thing as an untrackable, too small to be untrackable?
I don't know if I would say that. I mean, but I'm just saying that there's debris out there that they track that's would seem insignificant, but they track it in case it's going to come into the path of something major like a satellite,
Mm-hmm. Now, in other news, I cannot believe that I almost went and looked this up on Snopes just to make sure it was real, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. It makes me laugh. AT&T, I'm sorry, I don't know why this is funny. AT&T will put a fake 5G logo on its 4G LTE phones. Why on earth would they do this? So if you're an AT&T customer, you'll start to see a 5G logo appear in the corner of your smartphone. I'm guessing this is on your display on the phone, in the digital part.
Yeah, like where ours at the very top left-hand corner, LTE.
Not because you're on 5G, not because you're connected to 5G, but because they're going to start pretending they're on 5G.
But the ultimate question here is, are they going to pretend to also charge you extra money to have that on your phone?
Well, let's find out, dear. AT&T will display the icon reading 5GE. That's, separate from the G, separate from the E, on newer phones that are connected currently to LTE in markets where the carrier has deployed a handful of speed boosting technologies, but still 4G.
Mm-hmm.
The E, displayed smaller than the rest of the logo, refers to 5G evolution. The carrier for the networks aren't quite 5G yet, but they're faster than our current LTE.
Right.
So I don't know why they couldn't call it LTE 2.0 or something. So AT&T has pulled this exact same stunt during the transition to LTE when the first time we got they got 4G. They rolled out a speed boosting 3G and called it HSPA Plus, then got all of its phone partners, even Apple, to show a 4G logo that went on 3G phones. It's just baffling to me. What the heck,
I think it's deceptive.
So they're going to, let me put the air quotes out there, upgrade a bunch of customers to quote-unquote 5G, but it's not really. So some of you AT&T customers may see 5G, but you will not be on 5G connections. You'll get a new icon. I guess this is supposed to get you used to the idea, maybe. Not many people are going to know what that little E means anyway. So T-Mobile CTO, Chief Technology Officer, Neville Ray, wrote that AT&T was, quote, duping customers into thinking they're getting something they're not.
I
the
agree.
E is easy to miss, too, judging by the mock-up AT&T sent out. So it's like their little get-out-of-jail things. Like, oh, you didn't see that tiny fine print? You know. So it's just like, you know.
It's deceptive practices.
I don't like it. It's,
well, thank goodness we don't have to deal with AT&T.
you're the AT&T of people.
Yes.
Now, in other news that will absolutely infuriate you, Spaceboy,
Uh-oh. This is the moment I've been waiting for.
because you already don't want to go there. Walmart secured a patent to eavesdrop on shoppers and employees,
How are they going to eavesdrop on us?
listening to everything from rustling bags to register beeps. There's a schematic diagram here. It's like something up in a corner
So
at the ceiling.
they'll finally be able to catch that guy that was cooking meth in aisle 6, right?
So they've got something like mounted between the ceiling and the wall, and it's got these little dot beams down to the where you put your hands to push the cart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means. So, but anyway, they got this patent for a new listening system for all the stores, if they ever deployed it, would make some employees and shoppers deeply uncomfortable. Well, our phones are listening to us. I'm guessing this is probably the same principle, right? According to the patent claim file, it's an example system for capturing and analyzing sounds in a shopping facility, like a surveillance system. Why they need to hear sounds, I don't know, because mostly it's going to be screaming children anyway. So this proposed listening system will be able to detect the rustling of shopping bags and beeps at the register. Why do you need to hear rustlings of shopping bags? Walmart could use this tech as anti-theft. That sounds reasonable, I'm sure.
That's what they're going to pass it off as.
Yeah,
is
so,
anti-theft.
it's their store. They can do anything they want, right?
Sure. And you don't have to shop there. This goes back to,
But-
you know.
So they said that's where the intrigue stops and the anxiety begins. So the system wouldn't just be anti-theft. It could also monitor employee interactions with customers. Well, I'm not that bothered by that. Maybe that needs to be monitored in some places. And possibly it can monitor what customers are saying in real time about products. Actually, I wouldn't mind that, because I want them to hear every time I go in there, this Walmart sucks. They don't have any product in here.
I thought you were going to say they don't have enough cashiers or...
Oh, we don't need cashiers. We're better. I mean, we go to self-checkout and we're rock stars. And I know we're way over the limit, but we do it so fast you can't even catch us. So, quoting this article, additionally, the sound sensors can capture audio of conversations between guests and employees stationed at the terminal. The system can process the audio of the conversation to determine whether employees stationed at the terminal is greeting guests. So it's a way to monitor their own employees to see if they're doing everything they were trained to do.
And they're also going
if
to
they're even there.
Monitor their employees when they're slacking off or not working while they're on the clock.
It could track shoppers. This isn't original. Amazon has been busy testing its cashierless Go retail stores. Those stores have to monitor individual movements of shoppers and employees, all the way down to your gait and physical appearance. Keeps track of which items you take off shelves, so Amazon can charge you automatically when you walk out. That's just like, that's so big brothery. But the thing is, Walmart's not ready to do this. They don't have any plans anytime soon. It's just a patent.
Well, it wouldn't take very long for them to roll that out.
But I am gonna talk about this next week because we're doing a review and prediction show. And one of my predictions is privacy is going away and censorship is coming. So this is all part of it.
It just reminded me of a thing I watched again recently about a company that were implanting their employees with microchips. And they're using it to get in the building and also to pay for certain things.
They volunteered to do that, didn't they?
I don't know the extent of volunteer or not, but
because if it's mandatory, you quit that job.
Well, the thing is that these chips are not they haven't been like approved by the
FDA
government
or
whatever goes through some approval process. So I hate the idea of a company I work for says, okay, we're going to implant you with this chip. Then I'm thinking, the hell you are.
It's not like you have to keep that job. I mean, it's nice to keep you like that job and you want to stay employed there. It's one thing, but you can just quit.
Well, this definitely goes into that mark of the beast thing where if you don't have it, you won't be able to work and pay for things.
As much as I enjoy being able to create an account, go to the website, load up a card with money, go to Starbucks and just hold my phone and go beep, and you don't have to pull it, there's no money exchanged, and so that's all safe. But
so in other words, you love the technology until it gets
want
that
the
certain
control.
point.
Yeah, I'll be the first to die, I'm sure. So I
anyway,
won't last. I won't last a month.
Coming soon to your hand.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I thought you said you had two things that were going to get me all riled up.
Well, AT&T was, I don't know how you're going to feel about that. But,
well, they're the devil. I mean, I say it all the time. Thanks to their customer service experience, that's why I love them so much.
Yeah,
and then when we had Uverse.
Yeah, that's how we experienced them for the first time, and it was just, oh God, that was so awful. I can't get this page to load, sorry. It's
just like when they had their little thing in Walmart, which, funny, they replaced it with Xfinity now. And it's like, oh, no, we got business class.
Yeah, there's a little table or kiosk, and they have like a pop-up banner. They stay stationed in Walmart next to where they sell the TVs and electronics, and then out in the middle of the aisle. And I got stopped. I just barely glanced there, like I did like that, sweeping glance. She's like, I said, we've got business class, don't worry. And she's like, she didn't know reaction. She's like,
but I think
too, lady,
I think that you cracked up when there was the AT&T guy, and
I think one of them high-fived me one time.
And he started to come up to me. I went, nope. Talk to the hand.
It was when you said, I'd rather cut off mine.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe you said that. And I quickly disassociated myself with you by zooming away from you at light speed. Like, I don't know this man. He was just walking next to me for a few seconds. Like, I've never seen him before in my life.
I think I said I'd rather nail a
portion of your male anatomy,
my nether regions, to a chair than to deal with AT&T.
He could put his sentiments known.
I mean, he shut up. He walked away, didn't he? Or he was probably. But you were like the deer in the headlights.
I was like, I don't know. You took off.
Like you couldn't believe I said that, and then you're like, okay, it's time to run from you.
Mm-hmm. I do that for me frequently. If you raise your voice or you start to make a scene, I'm like, I abandon you. I don't care about marriage as a contract and we're a team. I'm like, nope, don't know you, bye. I'm not part of this.
But you said your father would.
Well, this was a period of time in our life when he was, he's definitely mellowed with age, of course. He's like, he is your stereotypical sweet old man. Now, he does still get, upset about things, but he gets over it really quickly now. But there was a big period in my life when everything was there. My mom and I, like, let's say we're at a restaurant and they screwed up our order or they didn't bring something, and it just, they would kind of have these over-the-top reactions. And he says, well, I'm going to say something. They're like, okay, well, if you say something, let us finish up. Let us Mom and I, let us get to the car first. Give us the keys. Then you make a scene. We won't be here and we won't be involved. And you do it. He'd wait till we'd leave, and we never knew what happened after we left. So, and the other thing that used to irritate me is, now maybe these are things you do when you're a parent, because at some point maybe you just get tired of having kids and you just want to mess with their brains. I would be in a store with them both, like Walmart, a grocery store, and he would instantly separate. I mean, he rarely did come with us, but like if it was like nighttime or something, it was after our work hours, he'd come with us. We just did separate, and then she's like, "Could you go find your father?" And I'll spend 30 minutes looking all over the store, and by the time I get back, he's already back with him. Like, I think this was a ruse, that just to get time away from me. Not that I was an irritating child, but hopefully I paid him back at some point. But that reminds me of something. I want to bring that up later. My parents and Christmas presents and what they did to me one year.
I guess I get all ratcheted up because I've worked in the food industry and I've worked in retail, and and as management, there's a certain level I expect.
Did you ever work during the holiday season?
Oh yeah,
in retail.
Oh yeah, not fun at all.
What about that lease to own place you worked at? Did you ever work during holidays?
Yeah.
Was it hectic during that time?
Not too bad.
Normal?
Not too bad. I was a sales manager there, and the bonuses were nice, but I think the worst job I ever worked at was Best Buy.
So you came out of that whole portion of your life hating sales. You told me you would hate to do sales as a job.
Well, the thing is that when I worked at that rental place, people would come in that didn't have $2 that rubbed together to make a nickel, and I was good at sales,
You're too good.
I have a knack to be very charismatic when I need to.
I imagine you if you were unscrupulous, you could be very predatory, I could see, but you're not like that. So.
Saul Goodman. It's all.
Oh
Goodman.
yeah, like that.
Yeah.
You seem like you're their friend, and then next thing you know, they're in debt for 8 years.
But I want to let the Space Cadets know that I love them and that I would not do that to them.
He wouldn't do that to anybody right now. I mean, I don't think. But
anyway, there was this incident where I sold a bunch of stuff to a family, and obviously, of course, those kind of places, those rent-to-own places, are designed for people that don't have credit, so that they can purchase things and pay over time.
Were there circumstances where people had to give it back because?
Oh yeah, and it was this situation with this family where we had to collect all this furniture back from them, and I felt bad, and then it was not too long after that we had some kind of sales drive, and my district supervisor, found out he was like doing cocaine, and of course he treated me like dirt, and it was like, you know what, I quit, I'm out of here. But he didn't last very long because I believe he had a heart attack. And,
that's two previous employers that have passed away from drugs.
Oh, you talking about for me?
Yeah.
Well, I think that drugs might have played a part of that, but I think he was very depressed. This is another job I worked at where I was an operations manager, and
strange coincidence.
He basically, I guess he was paranoid all the time, thinking somebody was out to get him. So eventually, he turned a gun on him and killed himself. Committed suicide. It's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's hard to get your employment history when your employer dies. It's like, well, where's your report? He died. Well, what about this employer? He died. It's like, okay. And like, I would, if I was interviewing, like, am I going to die too? If I hire you, that would be my first thought. Anyway.
I was just glad to get out of that one job with the manager that was, or the owner that was paranoid before he
went really ballistically crazy.
Yeah. So
they must have found out about him somehow.
No telling.
This is all in Houston when you do this, would it?
Well, it's right before I met you is when I was working at that job.
You were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
Yes, when you met me.
Yeah.
I had a lovely skirt on. I could pull it off.
5 points if you understand that reference. 5 points. Come on, Space Cadets.
My name tag said Flo.
Can I say, and I don't mean to tease, and this will help motivate me. I hope you're okay with me saying this. I am working on getting new products up for sale for Spaceboy Universe.
Spaceboy merch.
On a newer website. A U.S.-based T-shirt selling website.
And they are pretty cool looking.
And there's some... One of the designs is the design that I created for our convention, for our Comic Palooza shirts. The ones I hand-stamped. It's a digital version I made of that, and then there's a couple of variations of our logo.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of shirts that say Space Cadets on it.
Space Cadets.
So you can get official Space Cadet shirt.
There's 3 brand new designs for Space Cadets only.
There's one that I'm looking forward to her getting put out there.
Have I made it already?
Circus Peanuts.
I'm not making that.
Oh, babe,
I don't want to make that.
What if K28 wants a Circus Peanuts shirt?
That's so low priority to me now.
Look, Space Cadets, chime into the chat room that you want a Space Cadet Circus Peanuts shirt.
Well, you could get that later. I'm trying to get the really cool stuff out, but the problem is the site hung up on me.
I like how you just told me that I'm not cool.
The site hung up on me, and it wouldn't go on and let me finish setting up the store.
Does the store have like pants of some kind?
This site does. I don't know if this site has leggings. This other site I was on has leggings, but I don't know if
circus pants.
I can look real quick. I mean, I'm not going to log in, but I can look and see what they have.
Circus pants.
They don't have circus pants.
Circus pants.
Okay, they have T-shirts, hoodies, tanks, polos, long sleeve, jackets, vests, pants, and shorts. Okay, let's see. Baby clothing, Christmas shirts, ugly Christmas sweaters, toddler stuff, accessories, baseball caps, knit caps, iPhone cases, tote bags, drawstrings, backpacks, buttons, like a campaign button, that kind of button, posters, mugs, travel mugs, drinking bottles, aprons, mouse pads, pillowcases.
I just want to point out that Bev likes the idea of circus pants. Not circus pants.
They're leggings. They're not pants.
Not circus pants. Circus peanuts.
These are the opposite of circus pants, clown pants. They're leggings. They're form fitting.
Okay, we're beyond circus pants right now.
Okay,
we're at circus peanuts.
Well, I would like to not be at either one of them right now. Oh, hey, Gene.
Hey, Gene. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Caught you coming in there. Oh, that's cute. Look at the little Christmas tree icon. That's cute. Yeah, so I'm working on this. I'm trying to get the store set up. I like the prices on some of these. They're a lot cheaper than the other site
that we do. Yeah,
the other site's more for international people. I think
like $25 for an official Spaceboy T-shirt from the other site.
Yeah, which
this
you will have to buy.
I think about $5-10 cheaper.
Maybe. If not, I can set it lower because it's not like we're going to make any profit really. But one of the designs is a design I created just for fun.
All about getting the merch to the people.
Yeah. I think everyone will like it. I call it the Deadheads. So.
All right.
Be some new stuff there.
So
just keep watching.
We'll be promoting it.
And of course, you can always get some free music anytime you want with spaceboymusic.com.
There you go.
You should be downloading a CD for your grandma right now to take to her next week.
All right. So this is the point before we go into break that I bring up like Patrick Sporer news.
Oh, sure.
And at some point we're going to get him back on. He has a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
With the hurricane that hit Florida Panhandle. But he was giving me an FYI saying, if you have been, hold on, get my mail here. If you have been keeping up with the news, then you know that the rings of Saturn are fading. This is historical and very odd. I heard or read somewhere in the past, can't recall where, not thinking the rings of Saturn would ever start to fade. And it says, when the rings of Saturn disappear, those on Earth shall begin to fear. I imagine someone else will start sharing that same quote online and mention where they saw it. Anything that happens to a major planet has some effect on other planets, a ripple effect. In addition, we have a comet passing close to Earth. Depending on how clear the sky is, you should be able to see it with the naked eye. Put some clothes on that eye. According to folklore, the passing of a comet, please keep your eyes unrolled, usually is an omen that a head of state or some VIP will pass soon. Legend states, on a personal level, one could hear the sudden death of a relative, loved one, or close association. So there you go, a little Patrick Sporer news. Now, I do know that the way Saturn is, that about every 14 to 15 years, since it rings kind of, the Saturn kind of tilts, and then the rings kind of disappear because we're parallel to looking at the Saturn, so it looks like the rings disappear. So
it's their point of view, how you view it. Yeah,
exactly. And so, it is what it is, but if, there's something else, I guess, we'll find out from people, as long as it's not NASA. Yes, Surlana, I know, the time. So, with that, let's get to a break here. Let me get all this together. I apologize. But it's nice to see all the people in the chat room. And
I thought they'd be out partying.
I thought I saw somebody from Down Under that was in there.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
This is Patrick Scott Sporer, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeMille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mama Nim I said hi.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right. So, the space cadets have spoken. They need circus pants. And they need circus peanuts.
Well, maybe Santa will bring them some if they're good.
All right. Well, tonight, kind of a weird night. Usually we would classify tonight's topic in general as topic roulette, but
No, it's not.
In a way it is, because we're not just speaking about Krampus. We're,
well, I looked up dark Christmas, just like that, and I found it.
Did you save the tab on your browser about Santa killings?
No.
And then I've got the alien abduction incident in Lake County.
That's fine, but the other one is stupid. So.
Well, I didn't talk about the terrorist attack.
Oh, okay, that's the one that's stupid. Okay.
Okay, so let me just say this before we start. So I was checking to see if Surlana was awake over there, and I said, "Hey, look this up: terrorist attack, downtown building in L.A." And so she starts looking it up, and she still doesn't realize that I'm talking about Die Hard, the ultimate Christmas movie. And
I thought that was the guy from Family Matters.
But yeah, it was the guy.
Is that how he got that job on Family Matters?
I don't know. I know he played a cop on Family Matters.
Maybe that's how he got the job.
But when he came home from work from
Sorry, I've never actually watched Die Hard.
Came home from work after defending against this terrorist attack. He comes home, and I think Urkel was a part of it because he said, "Did I do that?" I know. There goes the eye roll.
I apologize. Let's get hope for 2019 that Spaceboy's sense of humor evolves. As we both eat ice cream.
Yeah, see, I was giving you a break so you get a few scoops, but now you're just going to have to wait until the next break.
The problem is, this ice cream, it's a little pint, it's hard as a rock, so I'm having to wait for it to... and being in this room would be perfect.
So go ahead and let's get started with Krampus.
Well, here's what I've learned. Well, it's not just about that, okay? Just so you know. That's just a teeny part of it.
Gene liked what I said.
Well, good. I'm glad Gene's there for you. Anyway.
Watch out, Gene. Friendly fire.
Here's what I found out about Christmas, our winter holiday. There's a dark side to it. Just like there's a dark side and a light side of the force, there's a yin, there's a yang. There's, we've got this great hopeful message that we've learned through Christianity about Christmas, but it has some pagan roots. It's got some origins. It's got offshoots. It's got things that predate Christianity in it. And what I'm talking about is some of the things we know and take for granted that we associate with this time of the year and traditions and things that we do. So the first one, because when I started looking this up, right, I learned something shocking. I can't look at chat right now, okay?
I know, but I'm just smiling.
Okay. I learned something shocking about this time of year for Christmas, this winter holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Before the 19th century, Christmas time was more like that movie, The Purge. We're talking drunk people wandering around, singing and shouting, causing property damage, fornicating on your lawn, breaking into houses, messing things up, acts of violence, acts of property damage. It's like morals go out the window. And it got pretty bad, and I'll explain why a little bit later. So I was starting out on this journey, and I went to one of my favorite sites because they do this in a humorous way. The dark origins of some of our Christmas traditions from cracked.com. That's just if you're going to be educated, you might as well have fun too. So I didn't know where this tradition of hanging your stockings over the fireplace and stuffing them overnight. So according to the legend, this is 4th century. So keep in mind, this is 4th century. This is the story. There was a poor man, of course there was. He was bothered because he couldn't afford to dower his three daughters, meaning he couldn't give them each a dowry. Well, back in the day, having females was sort of a liability. There's not much you could do with them other than, marry them off so they could become breeders for someone else. And to entice people to marry your daughter, you would give them a dowry of money or goats or whatever your culture decided was, valuable. But he was poor, so no one's going to marry them because they're poor and they don't bring anything to the marriage. So back then, you either married or you were a prostitute. Those were your options because women didn't work. So this is a big deal. This is 4th century, that's why. It's a sad situation. So when Saint Nicholas, a Greek bishop and the inspiration for Santa Claus, he heard about this guy's problems with his daughters. So Nick came to this guy's house in the middle of the night, broke in with 3 pouches of gold. He looked through their window and he saw 3 pairs of stockings drying on the hearth. Now, we're talking about stockings that the ladies actually wore, not the goofy red thing, that we use. And so the door was locked, so they say. So he slid down the chimney and planted the gold in each of the girls' stockings. And this is what led to the custom of leaving our stockings out for St. Nick to fill with gifts. Now, the way they put it was like, it was a way for them to avoid prostitution. So I was like, okay, that's one way to look at it. So now this is where I found out about Christmas being like the Purge. Caroling, which is going singing from door to door, and it seems to us kind of annoying / saccharinely sweet, adorable, and you're like, okay. Well, that sounds pretty innocuous and lame, right? Well, before the 19th century, Christmas was a time when social order got more relaxed. There was sort of a weird mentality around this time of year for some reason. People would actually go door to door making noise, drinking, playing instruments, and they expected to be invited into your house for more food and more drink. And these quote-unquote carolers were wild. They would dress up, they would cross-dress, and they would dress up as animals. They would do it in your front lawn, in front of your house, in your yard. Some accounts of people would use this time to burglarize homes just because they didn't have enough booze that night. So, it used to be quite a time. And you'll see why maybe people got the idea that maybe Christmas is not such a great thing. And the same, I was still on Cracked and I found this out. I don't know why I didn't know this, but the beloved story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was just kind of a marketing tool. So Montgomery Wards, that had been in business since, the 1930s, I remember shopping at Montgomery Wards.
I think Montgomery Wards was older than that.
Maybe older than that. But I remember shopping at a Montgomery Wards when I was a kid up to a teenager before it actually just kind of died out.
Because they used to talk about using the catalog in an outhouse.
Especially with Sears and Roebuck, too.
Mm-hmm.
So even poor Rudolph had some very cynical capitalist origins. Nothing magical about poor Rudolph. So back in the 1930s, Montgomery Wards used to give away free books to children at Christmas, which is that's a lovely idea. But I think things got tough during the Depression. It's right in the middle there. So in 1939, they decided, let's just make our own original story, publish our own book. That way they don't have to pay publisher, fees and give them a cut.
Mm-hmm.
So they already had an in-store ad man, Robert L. May. So they told Robert to go create us an original story for the book to give away. So he drew from his own experiences as a child where he was bullied and he was told that he was never going to live up to his potential and he was worthless. So he was writing this story and his wife died of cancer. So he threw himself into writing this story about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it became a bestseller. Montgomery Wards ended up printing 2 million copies of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and at the time they said Robert May was paid nothing for it because I guess he was already on the payroll. But, he had all these hospital bills, his wife just passed, so the CEO of Montgomery Wards gave Robert May all the rights to Rudolph because the CEO didn't think that there was any potential for this. It wasn't going to go anywhere. Oh, ha, ha. How little did they know. I also found out, I didn't know this, the Charlie Brown Christmas special, which has been airing for 50 years,
wow,
as part of your beloved holiday tradition, started out as a long advertisement for Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
It was an original ad. They approached, Coca-Cola approached Charles Schultz after they saw a feature in something like Time Magazine they did on him. So the Charlie Brown special, it'll stay alive forever because of nostalgia, but it's best known for Linus's recital of the biblical nativity when he's up on the stage and the message of anti-materialism it puts forth. So isn't it ironic? It's soulless capitalism which gave birth to the Charlie Brown Christmas special in the first place. So, like I said, the Peanuts were on the cover of Time, and Coca-Cola went, hey, could you do, this is 1965, could you do us an extended animation to promote Coca-Cola, but, have it be, a story and everything. So, the 1965 version, the first time it aired, prominently featured Coca-Cola product placement within the Peanuts universe. So that original airing, Coca-Cola was everywhere in that, the first time you saw it. So they kept airing it a few more years after, and the ratings got so good for the Charlie Brown special. But attitudes about product placement had changed, and so they started cutting up the special so they could put ads in between, TV ads like we're used to, and make room for other products to advertise. So that's how Coke got out of the Charlie Brown special. But that thing that gives you the warm fuzzies, that helps you remember the real meaning of Christmas, you can thank Coca-Cola for that. Now, the modern Santa Claus that you and I know that's on your Christmas packaging right now, it's coming to bring you your Ford F-150 or whatever it is you're wanting, he's actually the ultimate buzzkill. He doesn't want you to have a good time, You know why? Because Santa Claus, as we know him in this country, was invented by rich New Yorkers who wanted Americans to stop drinking during the holidays. Again, it was like the purge season when Christmas came around. This is, it's a slightly earlier time. Things got rowdy here too in America. More drunken people roaming around the rich folks' domiciles, and creating acts of vandalism and shouting and just basically disturbing the peace, right?
Yeah, because during this time, property damage was pretty widespread.
Yes,
during that time period.
Exactly. Drunk people would wander around the streets. They would mess with the rich folks' property. Even some violence would break out too. So in New York City, a group of wealthy Dutch Americans formed the St. Nicholas Society. They wanted to make Christmas safe for the rich folk. So with the help of writers like Washington Irving and Clement Clark Moore, they began, kind of taming the holiday by focusing on children instead of, drinking. So first they thought they brought over the Dutch story of Sinterklaas, a folkloric figure based on St. Nicholas, who gives presents, is against violence, and makes him the perfect symbol for family-friendly wholesomeness. So that's how it got to be in this country. So, but there's a lot more to the Santa Claus figure, because you've got that St. Nicholas and Sinterklaas. The Santa Claus name has many names. So in the UK, he's Father Christmas. Now you probably first heard it referred to as St. Nicholas in the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem. So Santa's a mishmash of folkloric figures from around Europe. There are many traditions based on that character, and they kind of derive from a Greek saint whose feast day is December 6th. He emerged as the British personification of Christmas in the Middle Ages, Father Christmas. Eventually, it got a whole lot more neatly wrapped up and labeled as Santa Claus that we recognize today in the 19th and 20th centuries. And I would argue from what I've seen is, as the 19th started going into the 20th century, Christmas itself got more tame. And then I would argue now it's going back the other way because of Black Friday, all that stuff. But anyway, it does have a darker history. The St. Nicholas he also has a dark companion. So in the Netherlands, in Low Country Europe, St. Nicholas is accompanied by Zwarte Piet, Black Peter. I'm aware. Now, over time, the Black Peter has been a figure of fun to amuse children, but it also started as the dark side, the yang to the St. Nicholas yang. The church leaders felt uncomfortable with this duality. The idea of dark companions with St. Nick come from pre-Christian folklore of Wodan, the Germanic pagan god, and his wild hunt across the skies of northern, western, and central Europe. This really interesting, and I bet you've heard of some of this. This Woden figure rode a white horse. He rode it through the air on the wild hunt. He was accompanied by two black ravens called Hugin and Muggin. It's Huginnmunin, but I've heard them referred to as Hugin and Muggin, or Hugin and Munin. They would listen at chimneys and tell Woden about good and bad behavior of the people in the house. So you see where all these different traditions are starting to merge into one legend. So they just kind of like mashed it all together. So in the Middle Ages, the St. Nicholas was shown taming a chained devil. Sometimes this devil was black in color. Now, Black Peter and the other companions in Germanic Europe were thought to represent that chained devil, forced to assist St. Nick. It's a devil as a companion found in the Austrian St. Nicholas tradition, and it is also known as Krampus. So I kind of want to stop there because I don't want to get into him right now, so I forgot to go to break.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Surlana. We'll be back with more interesting topics from the dark side of Christmas.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Hey, Surlana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe?
SpaceboyUniverse.com.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
What?
Surlana, that's the hand of we're back.
Oh, I'm not paying super strict
since you're not paying
attention.
instruction, okay. Here's my quick dinosaur joke of the evening. What is a dinosaur's least favorite reindeer? Give up? Comet.
Oh,
Now-
see, I can't remember all their names to finish out that joke.
I even gave you a hint, like, what happened to the dinosaurs?
I'm sorry, it's just I was annoyed at something else during the break, and couldn't give you my attention. So, I'm talking about Santa Claus, and his origins are kind of a mishmash of different cultures and traditions. And I will come back to Krampus in a bit because it deserves its own, section. So, what's some other interesting things during this time is Norway on Christmas Eve, they hide their brooms. Why do they hide their brooms? They believe on this night, on Christmas Eve, witches and evil spirits come out to taunt the living. The more I learn about ancient Christmas traditions, the more it starts to sound like Halloween. Very strange. So they don't want the witches stealing their brooms, so they hide them, and the men shoot guns in the air in order to frighten off evil spirits. That sounds like a southern tradition. Over in Italy, they have a witch called La Befana. She comes on the 5th of January. That's the eve of the Epiphany. She comes out on her broomstick to deliver treats to good children. Very strange. She comes down the chimney doling out gifts. So it's a good witch, apparently. She gives out gifts to good kids and lumps of coal to bad kids. So this is where, I guess, you see how Santa's just really a bad copy of all these other traditions. That's how that Father Christmas punishes children in Britain. So this was 13th century. There's a Roman goddess of the new year, Strenua. The story of La Befana is that she missed the birth of Christ, so if she makes up for her mistake, she'll forever visit children delivering gifts. So down in Eastern Europe, like in Greece and Turkey, they have evil goblins. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of the evil goblins. That's beyond my abilities. But they're malevolent. They dwell underground. And they'll come to the surface during the 12 days of Christmas from December 25th to January 6th. So they rest the rest of the year underground in their mythical world tree, hoping that the earth will collapse. When Christmas Day gets here, they forget about the tree and they're able to come up to the surface and cause, trouble. And they get forced back underground when the sun begins to come up on January 6th. In the absence, the world tree heals itself, so they must start sawing at it again. So they're trying to destroy it. What they do on the surface and their origins vary from country to country. So they are pre-Christian, this idea of these underground dwelling little demons. So one of their theories is it must be related to the Roman winter festival of Bacchanalia, a Greek festival of Dionysia, which is the same thing. Now, revelers of these festivals often dressed up in animal masks. So you see how far back it goes, dressing up, as each other or an animal and in masks. Goes all the way back to Greece. Costume revelers and their outrageous behavior became the basis for these goblins. So, what I wanted to tell you about is something I learned this year, and it makes me laugh. I I've looked at several different articles for this, but this particular page I'm looking at, I like the way they put it in their title, their article. This fashionista cat devours people to celebrate Yule. This is an Icelandic folklore. It's a creature that's known as Yule cat because there's no way I can pronounce the original Icelandic, but it translates as Yule cat, Y-U-L-E. It is a giant cat that lives up in the mountains. This cat is a pet of a giantess troll named Grilla, G-R-Y-L-A, I'm not sure, who also has a taste for children. Now, this Yule cat will come down from the mountains and devour people who did not get any new clothes to wear on Christmas Day. So you come out wearing your janky old sweatpants you had for 8 years, this cat's going to eat you. So harsh, isn't it?
Talk about, not having no money and you're forced to buy clothes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the hope is that somebody's giving them to you as a present. But why would they even have this as a legend? It's so bizarre. It's really weird, right? Why would a giant monster cat eat people for not having new clothes, specifically on Christmas Day? Well, they say most likely that it's due to sheep farmers. That's sheep, ba. The story was used as a way to motivate or ensure that the farmers' workers got their work done before winter approached. I guess that's like, you better have all these sheep sheared so we can have some wool or you're going to get eaten. The workers would be rewarded on Christmas Day with clothing made from the wool harvest as a thank you for their help. So those who didn't get the clothing, who didn't pull their weight. Another idea was that it also motivated people to work hard during the year so they would have money to buy gifts for their loved ones. Children also had to earn their new Christmas clothing. They weren't exempt from this. So for being well behaved and helping out through the whole year, they could be gifted with new clothing on Christmas along with other treats. Now, some traditions of this have people giving offerings to the Yule cat who would eat it would eat the offerings outside and move house to house, peering into windows to see if new clothing were among the holiday gifts. I don't know how it could see that. So if not, the Yule cat would come in, take the children of the household and eat them before moving on. I mean, I like some of these ancient traditions. They're pretty you could really, I guess, keep your kids in line with Santa will give you a lump of coal. I'm like, no, how about Krampus will come and eat you, drown you, or take you to hell, or a giant cat will eat you alive. So, yeah, I think the consequences should be a little harsher for not acting right. There's some other theories that say this tradition was to promote altruism and ensured that less fortunate didn't go without new clothing so they wouldn't get eaten. So it was hoping that you would give the gift of new clothing for the less fortunate. Actually, Bjork, good old Bjork, actually sings a folk song about the Yule cat back in 1987, and it's on YouTube. Just type in the Icelandic Christmas cat, and she will steal your heart, good old Bjork. But I just thought that was funny. I had not heard of the Christmas cat, the Yule cat. But so the site that I was looking at the origins of Saint Nick / Santa, it talks about Iceland and the Yule cat, but it also has this tradition of the Yule lads. And the Yule lads are said to be the sons of that same giantess who has the pet giant cat. So when Christmas approaches, she leaves the cave in the lava fields of some town name I can't pronounce, and she goes in search of naughty children. The Yule cat's her pet, and the cat will eat anyone who hasn't been given new clothes, whereas she's got a different agenda. She's looking for children who've been naughty in general. So it's weird how these are all related. So the cat was used as incentive for the farm workers, so we think. The Yule lads have become the Icelandic equivalent of Santa Claus. The modern interpretations are that they're shown wearing Santa suits, but traditionally they're worn wearing traditional Icelandic medieval clothing. There's 13 of them. They deliver gifts or rotting potatoes in the shoes of children on the 13 days that lead up to Christmas Eve. So I thought that was interesting. Either you're going to get a lump of coal or a rotting potato, or you could just die. So it's pretty harsh, you know. The Yule lads stay around for 13 days. Each has a distinct character and from being mischievous to being a child eater. So, those are pretty dark, I think, and I didn't know about them. I just never bothered to pursue looking at this stuff. But what about the Nutcracker? You know the Nutcracker, the musical?
Oh, I thought you were referring to your code name.
Okay, I'm going to give you that one. That's a good one. Somebody write this down. Give him 10 points. Now that's funny. Do you see the difference? But you know what a nutcracker is.
Yes,
it actually cracks nuts.
I know what a nutcracker is.
It's usually painted to look like a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Its little mouth is supposed to crack the nut for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, the Nutcracker Ballet is based on a story from around the year 1816. The story was titled The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by German author E.T.A. Hoffmann. In this original tale by Hoffmann, a 7-year-old girl named Marie slices her arm open because she was startled by a vision of her toy nutcracker coming to life. So she doesn't die, but somehow they fix it and she's recuperating. Her godfather came over and told her the tale of a man cursed with ugliness so bad, cursed with the ugliness of a nutcracker by a heartless queen. So Marie says, I would love that nutcracker no matter what his appearance. As soon as she says that, she's whisked away to the doll kingdom to marry the nutcracker. And the two are wed within a year of their meeting, even though that would only make Marie 8 years old when she got married. Because, ew, that's pretty dark. You know, they don't tell you that story, do they?
What, do you know when was the book?
1816. Not that's no excuse. Even for then, that's still a child.
Okay, well, you know, they married pretty young back then.
Not that young.
Okay.
Not in 1816, no. Although they were marrying their cousins still.
Mm.
Perfectly acceptable and then. Now, the Yule log, which I've never known anything about, I didn't know the Yule log was like a cylindrical sweet treat. I've never seen that. So, but Yule logs used to be actual logs, tree logs. They say most people know it as a Christmas cake. This must be in some other country. They used to be actual logs that you burned on the fire. Back in Europe's Iron Age, people would burn logs decorated with pine cones, holly, and ivy to bring good luck for the new year. The ashes were sometimes the biggest prize. They were said to ward against aging and protect a person who... They could protect you against lightning, which was, well, I guess you rub the ashes on you and now you're bulletproof. Well, many houses were made of wood, so I guess if you spread these ashes around, you won't get struck by lightning, and I guess that's important. But, and as we learned, Santa isn't the only person that creeps into your home via the chimney. There's lots of European legends that tell, like that witch, of helpful and malicious supernatural creatures that come into your chimney. Scottish and English legends tell of a brownie. Now, I've heard of that. It's not the treat that Bev had earlier. A brownie, which is a helpful household spirit that comes in, and it will stay in your home. It comes in through the chimney. In the Middle Ages, the witches were also thought to pass through chimneys. And, of course, we've got those goblins, again, that crawl in through the chimney. The ones I can't pronounce, their names. 19th century Pennsylvania, Pell's Nickel or Bell's Nickel slipped down chimneys to reward good children with oranges and punish naughty children with a whip. I mean, corporal punishment was a thing, man. Now, the mistletoe plant, being kissed under mistletoe, has some dark origins. Mistletoe is seen as a sign of friendship by the Druids, and because of that, it was banned by religious leaders in England. And we'll hear some more about what religious leaders did in England. Later on, York Minster Church in the UK began to hold a special mistletoe service each winter. So during their service, criminals from the town could come, bring a sprig of mistletoe, and be pardoned for their wrongdoings. They would declare public and universal liberty, pardon, and freedom for all sorts of inferior and wicked people at the Minster gates and the gates of the city towards the four quarters of heaven. So that's why today you can still see mistletoe on the altar of a church during the holiday season. So they were helping to pardon sins of criminals, I suppose. Leaving out the milk and cookies for Santa was a tradition that starts here in America, or it got popularized here during the Great Depression. If you leave milk and cookies out, this is you're making a sacrifice. You're taking away perfectly good food during a time of economic hardship to show you'll always be grateful for the things you're given, and that giving is good as receiving. So that's just to show you how people were still giving during times of hardship. So, Krampus. I hadn't heard of Krampus maybe a few years ago. Let's say 5, maybe 10. But before that, I had never heard of him. And maybe it's just because I wasn't living right. I don't know. But there was definitely a trend where nobody heard about it. Then it got to get known. Now it's just ubiquitous, you know. Want to have an interesting time? Go to YouTube. Type in Krampus Run or Krampus Parade 2018 or any year.
And that's run and not runs.
Run, yeah. You'll see people dressed up. Well, honestly, they look like demons. They all have kind of like goat head, horns. They just look demonic. Some of them they've rigged their masks to where they have glowing LED eyes. It's kind of cool. And they're all wearing some kind of hair fur suit. They look like evil Wookiees, you know. Well,
from the waist down, they're like a...
No, they're all covered in fur, the ones I saw.
Well, they're hooven.
Well, some of them can be. But I even saw kids in this parade, little short Krampuses. To me, the word Krampus sounds like the goddess of menstrual cramps. That's what I would say it was. But go look at these YouTube videos because they have this yearly Krampus run, and it's nothing but people dressed, well, demonically looking. And it's a centuries-old tradition, an ancient pagan ritual meant to disperse winter's ghosts. I didn't know winter had ghosts. Now, it goes back to an ancient tradition where people would dress up in fursuits and carved wooden masks and carry cowbells. I guess it's to drive out the bad spirits. Mm-hmm. And again, this is where I first learned about the duality of the holiday season. It's not just the goodness of, Christ being born and this positive message and hope for a future. There's also the yin, the yang. There's the light, the dark. Again, and we mentioned earlier, there's a Saint Nicholas. So Saint Nicholas's dark side is Krampus. Krampus means claw, by the way. If you have a saint, you must have a devil. It's sort of, Krampus balances out that commercialism, that saccharine version of Christmas that gets shoved in our face. That's the part that's, frivolous. Now, this tradition of Krampus is popular mostly in Germany, Austria, and Hungary, but also Slovenia and the Czech Republic. Definitely that Middle Eastern Europe. It's derived from the German word Krampen, meaning claw. Krampus has a mangled, deranged face with bloodshot eyes atop a furry black body. Giant horns curl up from his head, displaying his half-goat, half-demon lineage. Now, according to legend, this is interesting. I did not know this. Krampus is supposedly the son of the Norse goddess Hel, H-E-L.
Like Hela?
Yeah, they're saying Hel. Ruler of Helheim, the Norse realm of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest daughter of Loki, Hel, is described as a horrible hag, half alive, half dead, with a gloomy and grim expression. That's not what we saw in Thor, was it? So her face and body are those of a living woman, but her thighs and legs are those of a corpse, molted and moldering, just to give you a bit of where, Krampus's origins are coming from. He had the genes stacked against him there, so...
I was going to say, her legs look pretty awesome looking.
Well, I don't think that was a direct translation. I mean, Krampus is the counterpart to the other Christmas devils, like Black Peter, which we mentioned earlier. Now, so you've got this, St. Nicholas and Krampus, and that's been around a while. Well, by the 12th century, the Catholic Church had enough of this Krampus nonsense, right? They wanted to stamp out this pagan devil. So, Christians were fairly successful at banishing Krampus for a while. Then he got to reemerge in the 19th century as a fit of consumerism. Manufacturers started to commercialize on Krampus after 1890. That seems like that's the birth of consumerism, like after the Civil War or something. The Austrian government relinquished control over the nation's postcard production. Might look into that. That sounds interesting. So this caused the industry to flourish, the postcard industry. I didn't realize they had such strict control over it. So there were scary Krampuses for children, silly Krampuses for adults, and it coincided with a revival of the Krampus festivals. So it was meant to scare good children into good behavior, but at night it allowed the adults, mostly men, to dress up in scary costumes and run around the town, usually drunk. Let me try to pronounce this. Krampuslauf, which is the Krampus run, is probably the most popular part of knowing about Krampus now. Krampusnacht, which is Krampus night, is the most popular part of this thing. Now, in the early 20th century, Krampuslauf was outlawed by conservative and nationalist parties of Germany and Austria. And in the 1930s, now what was going on in the 30s in Germany and Austria, you can imagine. So, as we've seen, Krampus has made a big comeback in this century. So much so, the Krampus run just gets bigger and bigger. And it's been like that for several years. Krampus has its own feature horror film, a comic book series. You can watch Krampus run videos on YouTube.
And you can get Krampus Halloween decoration stuff.
I reckon you can.
I saw this one where it had Krampus, right? And I mean, the thing must have been like 12 feet tall.
Goodness.
And he was holding a kid in his one hand. I was like,
Yeah, look at some of the imagery online. It's pretty disturbing. So go watch these Krampus run videos, though. I'm telling you. So it's like a parade, and they're walking around freely. Some of them are on like wooden wagons. They're being pulled. These people dressed as these demons will jump around, reach over the barrier where the crowd is lined up, grab people and hold on to them. And they have these. It's supposed to represent birch rods, but it's not actual trees. It's like some kind of soft, flowy material, but it's supposed to represent a whip. And it looks like a giant brush or something, and they're hitting people with it. They're not hurting people with that, but I saw them like grab a woman by the head, pulled her little beanie off, and just started messing up her hair and giving her a noogie. And they're not like hurting people, but they are full contact, and they will try to scare you. They do touch you, so it's not this benign thing. And the costumes. Some of these masks are, we've got the ability to make good masks. Some of these masks are just disturbing. I saw one, it was a static mask, but like a Halloween mask. It had protruding teeth and skull coming out from under the skin, and it looked like it was all dripping and, gore, but, it wasn't, really. I was like, here's the strange part that I found, as times change and, things change and things happen. You got, around Christmas, and not everyone is into it because not everyone has heard of this or is from that area, right? So you got the annual festival of child hunting during Krampus. That's fun. But here you've got these Syrian refugees who have come to Austria and Germany, these Alpine towns that are celebrating Krampus and running around looking like demons and touching people and messing up things. This has really frightened some of these refugees. So it was coinciding with an influx of refugees from Syria, Afghanistan, while they're having this Krampus run. The festival is well loved, but the concerns are rising that their new neighbors are scared of this tradition, and they are nightmare-inducing costumes. If you're not used to seeing this sort of thing, and it's not in your culture day to day, I'm sure this is rather disturbing. So, rather than cancel the parade, the town officials decided to educate the newcomers. Refugee children were invited to a presentation where they learned about the props, how the costumes were made, let them come up, see it, touch it, talked about the Krampus customs. They introduced the refugees to Krampus, and they thought it was a great way to compromise so they don't have to get rid of it. They don't have to be scared. He says you can't force people to adopt cultural traditions of which they have no basis or point of reference, so they were trying to educate them on it rather than stop it. That was interesting. So, getting kind of close to another topic here. Would you like to go to break now?
Yeah, it's the time, so
Okay.
let's hit the break. Let's see, is that right? Yeah, okay, that's correct. Okay, we'll be back right after this.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt Pit. Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
Three paragraphs and I'm done.
Well, you've already told the audience, so go ahead and tell the 3 paragraphs and you're done.
Well, Christmas got banned twice.
What do you mean? Oh, well, let's go ahead and get this
over with.
Yeah, that part over with. You going to talk?
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're on the air.
I didn't need them telling me when to come back because the music is muted.
Yeah, because I don't usually play the music all the time because you're always complaining you got a headache.
I do have a headache.
Well,
it's
then,
this big.
okay.
Do you remember that ad?
Surlana, we're going to do it live. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I don't have much more to tell you other than the 2 times that Christmas was banned. So, remember how I've been saying all along before the 19th century, Christmas, the holiday season, was more like the Purge movies? Violence, sex, and, rock and roll before rock and roll. Well, the mischief got so bad, the Puritans decided to ban Christmas, and this is 1644. Now, we know the Puritans just didn't like to have fun at all. In fact, they got so mad they came over here and started a new country. So they banned Christmas. It was seen as a dangerous time because people's behavior was so bad. So this guy called Philip Stubbs wrote during this time, "More mischief is that time committed in all the year," that's how it's written, "to the great dishonor of God and the impoverishing realm." So there's like, let's get rid of Christmas. So they put an act of parliament in 1614. They banned all Christmas celebration, all activities to do with Christmas, including attending church. You couldn't even go to church on Christmas. Of course, this doesn't go over well with the general population. They all celebrated privately in a quiet manner. Things got a little better, and by 1660, things became more openly, publicly festive, although it was still subdued. This was during the time of the Restoration of the monarch. The old customs of Christmas were revived, and it became more social. What was interesting is I found that out. I went to bbc.co.uk, and it was part of this article called Their 10 Ages of Christmas in England. That was really fascinating. I encourage you to check that out, how Christmas changed in that country from way back till the 20th century. But that's pretty wacky. That's England for you. That's Puritans. Well, turns out, we've got them over here too. And in Boston, they banned Christmas from 1659 to 1681. It was outlawed in Boston. The Plymouth colony made celebrating Christmas a criminal offense. Christmas trees and decorations were considered to be unholy, pagan rituals. The Puritans also banned traditional Christmas foods such as mince pies and pudding. I'm sorry, no love lost there. Puritan laws required that stores and businesses remain open all day on Christmas. Town criers walked through the streets on Christmas Eve calling out, "No Christmas, no Christmas." In fact, Christmas didn't become a legal holiday until 1865, and even then, some schools still held classes on Christmas Day, and they didn't stop doing that till about 1870. And on that note, I'm going to pick up this phone call. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
Sorry about that, Bev. I was trying to get through that real quick.
That's okay. That was interesting. I never knew all that stuff.
I didn't
except
either.
For the Yule log.
I had no
idea. I
idea.
knew about the Yule log because my grandma Riker, my mom's mom, she used to make a Yule log cake for Christmas every year.
Mm-hmm.
And that I knew about that.
I knew
But
about
all the other stuff I never knew about.
I knew about Captain's Log, but that's a little bit different.
Well, she did say the word Riker, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
He did become a captain eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry, we're Trek people. We can't help it.
So how are you?
I know it. I am too.
How are you doing this fine evening, Bev?
Oh, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Doing real good. So y'all ready for Christmas, right?
Ready for it to be over.
It's just another day here.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen. I mean,
she's got plans to go see
I
her.
already got my Christmas present.
Oh.
I got my hair cut.
Oh.
Yeah, I did too. I got mine cut earlier in the month, but that was my Christmas gift from Spaceboy. And it's that expensive that it has to wait and be a gift.
I'm actually the one that brought it up. Like, when are you going to book your haircut?
As soon as you tell me you have money.
So.
Well, I had a coupon for $5 off a...
Oh, you're so lucky. I don't get coupons.
Haircut. Well, I go to Great Clips.
Oh, I go to JCPenney salon.
That's where I go, Bev.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
But I can't. JCPenney's, man, they charge a lot for theirs.
They do, but I found a woman that knows how to cut my hair the way I like it, and that's invaluable.
Yeah. But they do a good job at Great Clips. Oh, I used to go to Regis all the time, and man, the last time I went, they really screwed my hair up. It was awful.
Yeah, I can't trust those places.
Yeah, I used to go to PetSmart so they could shave my back, and and they usually would put a little bow in my hair, and
he's laughing, but I have had to trim around areas that are not on his head.
Okay. She's referring to my mane from my back, my neck, from the back of my neck.
I mean, stuff you could potentially see in the public.
It's not like she's cutting the hair off my feet from my hobbit feet.
No, they were worried about a different area.
Because
Don't worry.
because I got to make it through the Shire every once in a while and check out my peeps and everybody and.
But yeah, we're going to go over to his brothers and have Christmas dinner with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out with my sister and and my other sisters and
Are they going to be together?
Yeah.
How many sisters do you have?
I have 3.
Oh.
But I'm the oldest one.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I'm the middle child.
I am going up.
I have the middle child syndrome.
I'm going up to get catfish. So Spaceboy's going to see his family. I'm going to see my family that I adopted and just barged my way into, and they just didn't say anything about it. So I said, look, here's what I want. I want catfish. I want hush puppies. Cornbread would be nice, too. I want a good dessert. And, I'll bring my own, libations. But this is what I want instead of the traditional Christmas meal. And both of them said, cool. So that was 2 years ago. And this is the 3rd year of Cajun Catfish Christmas. And everybody in that family just freaking loves it. Now, of course, I'm only talking about Leanne, her husband, their teenage son, and her mother. So, and I said, you are not allowed to invite anyone to Cajun Catfish Christmas unless they have been pre-approved by me, and the answer is going to be no. So, and they went, okay. They just acquiesced to all my demands.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing my sister.
Hi, Bear.
Did Bear make it finally? Oh, okay, there he is.
Yes, he did. Bless his heart.
Hello, Bear.
And you know what? Okay. You know what I miss about Christmas most of all when we were kids?
What's that?
Just the family getting together and actually celebrating what Christmas is really about.
I miss being a kid and not having to worry about everything on the planet.
Yeah, true. But nowadays, nowadays a lot of people have really lost what the true meaning of Christmas is.
Because it's not politically correct to put your beliefs out there, even though it's the right one. It's correct, but you're not supposed to step all over somebody else's belief or non-belief, and I just get so sick of that. But we will do it because I'm so sick of drama, I will back down and avoid it.
Exactly, and that's what gets me, People in stores, I can remember when we were kids, all the employees used to say Merry Christmas and everything.
Now it's Happy Holidays.
Now they have to say Happy Holidays.
Heaven forbid
And
you get offended by a statement.
You know what I really feel bad about?
I always say Merry Christmas back.
You know, I've always said Happy Holidays, you know, and now I feel bad because it's like you're just saying that because you're trying to not say Merry Christmas. So lately I've been just saying Merry Christmas and, you know.
I can just imagine you're just going, Merry Christmas. It's like that, you know. I just made a gesture only he can see.
Oh, God.
Yeah, she flipped me the bird.
Well, it just, you know, it just upsets me to no end that you can't, you know, say what's on your mind when the holidays are here.
Well, you know, that generally doesn't stop me, you know, Bev.
You don't want me to say what's on my mind during the holidays. I would have had such... we came home today after going out to get supplies, and I just said, you know what? I just want to punch everyone in the face. You know, the most non-Christmas attitude you can think of. Like, everybody needs one good punch in the face from me till I feel better about life.
There you go. There you go. Well, and like I said, you know, it's nothing like it used to be. They start putting Christmas stuff out in October before Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
That is pure capitalism right there. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's like they don't even celebrate Thanksgiving.
And that should not be taken lightly. You must celebrate turkeys and all their goodness.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. I love the dark meat. Ooh,
no. I can't believe we're friends. That's just wrong.
I was gonna say, does Bob know about this?
What, dark meat on turkey? You don't like dark?
No, I don't like dark meat. No.
Oh, you don't? Hmm? Bob likes the breast.
Whoa.
I'm sure he does.
What man doesn't like the breast?
You don't have your rim shot over there, do you?
No, I don't. You just set him up and we'll knock him down.
All righty then. Oh, golly.
We should have gotten those lights.
I can remember going over to our, see, we used to have, my mom and dad and brothers and sisters would have our Christmas on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, would be Christmas morning, we'd go over to our Grandma and Grandpa Rikers, and we'd open up our presents there, and then we'd have Christmas lunch, and then we'd have a big dinner for Christmas dinner, and we would be there all day. And there was 8 kids between my mom's brother and my mom and dad.
Well,
but they loved having us.
When you were younger, or a kid, or even, it doesn't matter, did anyone ever sort of like mess with you or prank you when it came to giving you your present or presents or gifts?
No.
Oh, so you only knew nice people.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Again, there must be something about having children, and if you have more than one, I guess it gets to be tedious after a while.
Well, you know, when you're a parent, it's your opportunity
to get your own back.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't think I was that much of a problem as a kid, but I guess you'd have to ask my dad, who I've got left now. But and it's just, gosh, there's so many aspects of his character that remind me of you, Spaceboy, so it might be why I was drawn to you. He was mischievous in quiet ways. They would wrap presents, and if they were small enough, they would take a wrapped gift that was meant for me and put it out in the open, and I never saw it. That used to infuriate me.
It just goes to show you never paid attention to things.
Well, one year what do you call it? You know, if you've got a desk and then you have a bookshelf that goes on top, but it's not attached. You can just pick it up, move it off. They took that and put it on top of the organ we had, you know, the quote unquote electric organ, and it looked like they belonged together. So we had some books and tchotchkes up there. Well, they took a present and stuck it between the books, and it wasn't even hiding. It was just a wrapped gift between these books, and it just didn't even that just made me so angry. I didn't even want to open the thing. So, and then some other year, they decided to give me cash. You think, oh, well, to a young, 13, 14-year-old back in the 80s, that's a big deal, right? $100 of cash. They gave it to me in like, I guess what you call a T-shirt box, the little thin, pliable cardboard, you separate it. And I opened this box, right? And there's these little individual scrolls, like little scrolls of wrapping paper. And they're all tied with these little, they tied it with, not bows, but, the ribbon. They're all like, they look like little diplomas or something, little wrapped up gift, from wrapping paper, right? So it looks like that's the stuff you'd use to pack a gift in for like, cushioning. And it didn't look like anything. And they're like, well, don't you like a present? I said, I don't understand why you'd give me little scrolls of gift wrapping paper. Well, each one of those scrolls had a $1 bill rolled up in it. So I guess the joke was on them because they had to stay up all night, I guess giggling with wicked glee, individually wrapping $100 bills.
Now, my family never did anything like that. What they did was they'd get like a sizable box that you would get from U-Haul, and then they filled it with a bunch of pecans. So it was the box was very heavy, and so my gift was an Atari 2600 game that they stuck in this huge box.
Was that to throw you off the scent?
To throw you off, and
so you couldn't guess.
And I told them, I said, I'm keeping the pecans. And
were they any good? Did you eat them?
I ate
like, I'm keeping the pecans. You think this is funny, but I'm keeping them.
I was serious.
You and my dad, I'm telling you. You'd have probably eaten them too.
So, I mean, that's how devious my mom was when she packed up Christmas gifts and stuff like that. Now, there is a thing where my aunt, the infamous Uncle Joe of the family here, but his wife, my aunt, when I was just barely a baby, she was taking care of me for one reason or another, and so her and myself broke into all the Christmas gifts that were under the tree, and yeah.
Are you telling me this?
And so
How old were you?
I guess I was.
So that was the year you got a big lump of coal, right?
I was about 3 or 4.
Oh, you didn't know any better. You were just doing whatever someone else was doing.
Because I think she was having, my mom was having Stacy at the time.
Ah.
And so,
That's hysterical.
So meanwhile, everybody's
now,
at the
Stacy's
hospital.
The youngest?
No. She's number 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
On the sibling hit parade.
She's number 2.
Did you get in trouble? What
what's wild
happened?
about our family is my mom's brother, my Uncle Dale, he had 3 boys and a girl. My mom and dad had 3 girls and a boy.
Yin and yang. The duality of nature.
You just been loving saying that.
I know.
All night.
I've noticed it's like there's a force. It's a real force where you cannot have good without the opposite.
I was getting ready to say, we're not talking about my encounter with AT&T earlier in the evening.
No, I'm just saying there's a duality. This is where I wonder if he's got the idea of the force. There's a duality nature to existence. And it's like it has to stay in balance where one will be up and the other will be down, and then it flops over again. I'm telling you, it's all starting to make sense, man. I know I sound crazy, but what I had wanted to do, and things got away with me, and I wasn't able to do this today, but I had wanted to call my father while we're on the show, but I'd have to prep him. And I was going to have him tell 1 or 2 true but hysterical stories from my youth, not necessarily holiday related, but just the kind of wacky stories like you're watching an old episode of Three's Company. That level of insanity happens to us.
That would have been great.
So, I wanted him, because the one story I wanted him to tell, I wasn't actually there. I was spending the night with my best friend. is the night. Now, my dad is a civil engineer. He retired a civil engineer. So he's not stupid, knows math, you know. He should know better. But what we didn't know is at the time my mother was having back problems. We thought she was having back problems, but later we found out she was having early onset bone cancer, and it took a while for us to figure that out, which that's how we lost her. But we didn't know this at the time, so they were desperate to find a way to get her comfortable. So they said, he said, let's just take an air mattress and put it on top of our regular bed, see if that helps at all. So there was a leak in it, and I don't know why he didn't use a patch kit or there wasn't one. He got the idea he'll just put some Fix-A-Flat in it, into the air mattress. You know, this is to, when you have a low tire, you can use some Fix-A-Flat to get you a buy till you can get the tire replaced or fixed, right? So he put Fix-A-Flat in there, and you think, well, that's not too bad, but he used an electric pump to blow up the mattress. Well, the pump was sparking. He didn't know it was sparking. And, of course, the spark went in and ignited the chemicals in the air mattress. Now, he was doing this while it was on top of the bed, and my mom was off to the side. This isn't in a townhome apartment, so it's not like it's a big bedroom. She was off to the side, sitting behind an ironing board, just waiting for him to finish. And apparently the cat I had at the time was in the room. Well, by the time he realized he should not be doing this, he said it had gone kind of round instead of like bed-shaped, and it was glowing orange. And so it was on fire from the inside. And he said there was nothing they could do. It eventually, it expired all the fuel inside, the oxygen, and he said it deflated, and somehow he got pushed up against the closet. And he says the only thing they really remember about it was that the cat wasn't seen for about a couple days after that.
I wonder why. Probably wouldn't go in that bedroom, would he?
Yeah, so, yeah. But have him telling it, because he was there first person, that I think would have been a great way to finish off the holiday segment.
I'll tell you, that's what you call having a really hot bed.
Now, we have a problem with mattresses, because the second mattress incident I was there for, when my mom accidentally lit the mattress they actually sleep on, actually lit it on fire by accident because she had a candle on the nightstand.
Oh, no.
So, but I'll save that for another time.
Yeah, they definitely liked their hot beds, didn't they?
Yeah, I was involved in that one. And that, I'm telling you, Bev, that episode with the burning mattress was like an episode of Three's Company. If you've ever seen that, you know how wacky they get in those situations. They're so impossible, and they're trying to keep it from their landlord.
Watch it all the time.
Yeah, like Mr. Furley. We were in a situation just like that.
We loved watching that.
We were just like that. If you had written this as a script, this would have been comedy gold in the late 70s, early 80s. But this happened in the 90s, so anyway.
Oh my! I could just picture that getting red on the inside. Did it melt the mat?
I don't know. I'll have to ask him, because he's bless his heart, he's starting to have trouble with his short-term memory, but his long-term memory is perfectly intact. He can tell me about the day my mother was born, because she told him the story. He remembers that vividly, but he doesn't remember that they're on their way to Walmart. So.
Yeah, see, my dad was the same way.
Yeah, so that's starting to...
But his was from oxygen deprivation.
Yeah. I think...
Because he had a congestive heart failure.
Well, my dad is in his 80s, so it just could be that time. So, but he still remembers this vividly, both incidences with the air mattress and the regular mattress. Because the second story builds on a crazy situation, and then it puts it in an insane situation, and then it goes to another level. So I'll have to tell y'all about that another time when we need filler.
That would be funny. I mean, not funny, but you know what I'm saying. Oh, my gosh. You sound like you had a real exciting childhood.
Oh, there was a lot of good laughter. So that's what I can remember about it. We had a lot of good laughter, even in the most troubling, upsetting of times. We do have another caller. I know we're near a break, though.
Oh, well. Okay.
Well, we love you, Bev.
Well, we love you, too, and I just want to wish everybody a happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and we love you all.
Thank you, Bev.
Back at you.
We'll see you next week, maybe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You want to grab this call?
Go ahead and let's bring him up.
Okay.
Caller?
Are you there, caller?
Beep, yes. I can wait till after the break.
Okay, yeah, hold that.
Hang
tight.
As I was trying to say, hang still. Hang still.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlanus Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K-28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
I'm Solaris Blue Ribbon, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right, we are back, and on the line we have the impressible Dino. I know. I couldn't get the word out correctly. But anyway, Dino knows how awesome he is. I tell him every time I talk to him. How are you tonight, Dino?
Well, not bad. Not bad. I was going to go out to a club where my friend played in a band, but it's chilly and damp outside, and my house is warm. So, just been kind of floating in, being that I don't have a full-time job anymore. This used to be the time of year where I could just, I had like 2 or 3 weeks off work. But I've been doing that since summer, so it's just, just watching all around me, watching the people fuss around. Thank goodness I don't send cards out anymore or fuss. But I do have my 1980 fiber optic multicolor lamp that I turned on tonight. That's kind of Christmassy. It's got 6 colors that rotate. So I'm just trying to do that, and unfortunately, several of our friends of your show and of mine have had a lot of health issues, and people on chat are talking about that. But it's kind of sad, and it's only a calendar year. I try to remember, but I know 3 people I know died this year suddenly that were my age, so that kind of gives you a wake up in a way.
Sure.
And just kind of pondering winter time. All I can say that's positive right now for everybody is that the days are now slowly going to get longer and the nights shorter, and that's the time of year I like.
I wanted to thank you for bringing Brother Bear into the chat room tonight. It's good to see him there, and I'm glad that things are slowly getting back to normal for him, because I know that this calendar year has been rough on him as well. But we all wish him prayers and all that good stuff from the universe, and so I know he's listening, and but I wanted to thank you for encouraging to come to hang out with us.
Yeah, he's been through a lot, and I'm not going to say everything that he'll tell you, but he needs a little encouragement, and I know all you folks the last couple of months, when I told you that he wasn't quite in the best health, kept telling me to pass things along to him, and I kept calling him because we have each other's phone number. I go, why don't you come in? And so I kind of walked him through. I don't know if I helped, but somehow we got him on again.
Well, family always helps with the healing process, so it's good to see him there.
Yeah, friends and family, and it only helps to make you better through hard times. And, other people we know are going through some hard times too. Hey, but the government, part of it is shut down. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. That could be a Christmas gift. So we shall see. All I know is that I want people this time of year to be safe, because the roads are crowded, the skies are crowded. I don't know. Hopefully the ETs and the Secret Space Program folks kind of back off the aerial missions this time of year, because we already have enough traffic all around the planet right now.
Sure enough. So what else is on your mind, Dino?
Well, it's just, we're all looking for love, some of us in the wrong places, and I know our family and me included, but it's like, that's what I ponder this year. You go through a personal thing, and I always think, geez, it's been a long time, that I've been single, and here I am, a Libra. We're supposed to be the partnership, sign, and it's like I've met a few wonderful ladies, and of course I have a few friends, but it's like they all seem to be far away. I've had people that tell me that they're very excited about me, and then I can't get them here to be with me. So this long distance stuff sucks too. So that's what's on my mind.
Let me ask you something, Dino. Do you recall a documentary called The Alien Abduction Incident at Lake County? It was a documentary that aired on UPN back on January 18th, 1998, about a family who was supposedly abducted, and one of the members of the family had a camera that was filming the incident. Does that even ring a bell to you?
Man, I'm trying to think. 98. Jeez. No, I don't. I try to pick up on the more famous incidents.
Well, this was pretty...
I don't. Well, what can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Dino, because this is a particular incident that there's quite a few YouTube videos out there on this of some of the footage that was shot. Are you familiar with the movie The Blair Witch Project?
I am. I have not wanted to see it because it kind of creeps me out. But it is actually on the Comet Sci-Fi Network. I see they're pushing it this month.
Well, that filming style that they did, where it's like a first person and it's kind of jittery,
Yeah.
and well, the filming process for this documentary was done the same way. And supposedly, this family sits down. They're all together during Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden, the power goes out. And so a couple of the guys that were in the group go outside to see what's going on, and off in the distance they see a UFO, and in this UFO these occupants come down out of the UFO, and you could tell they look like grays from a distance. I mean, just that typical bulbous head. And
I haven't heard of this either.
Yeah, so anyway, as the story progresses, the aliens actually see that they're being watched by the family. And so the family runs back inside like they're going to be able to prevent being abducted from aliens by locking the door, But it's presented in a style that it actually happened. This is like lost footage that was found. And what it ends up is that this film, or documentary, if you will, was actually not real. It was, I guess, the director that wrote this basically wrote it in a way that it would be similar to the War of the Worlds. You know how when Orson Welles did his Mercury presentation, where everybody thought it was real, and because people were tuning in late.
1938.
Yeah, so a lot of people got flustered because they thought this was real, and lost their cookies.
In 1998, when it was on television.
Yes. So it ends up where they even had questioned Stanton Friedman on the issue, who hadn't seen it until that point, but when it comes down to is that this was totally fiction, made up, but it made a lot of people mad because they presented it in a way that this could actually be true, because they had they'd show a little bit of footage. And then they cut to a sheriff, and then, of all things, they cut it to the guy that actually wrote it and directed it. And he said, I would love to have done something like this. Well, he did actually do it. That's his thing. He directed. He wrote the story for it. And so I bring this up because, I hate when you get something like this, and then there's a population, part of the population that actually believes it's true. And this has been out since, like I said, 98. And, it's made the runs through YouTube, and people, point to it and like, hey, see, this is proof that we're being visited, and here's an alien abduction. And it was actually kind of a cool thing to watch, but I'm always like at the point where I hate when something's presented like, okay, this is fact. And then they bring these people in, like the sheriff guy, and then the director guy that was kind of misleading. And I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up here.
You have a beverage?
Take a drink.
Oh, well, here.
Slap him around.
Hold on just a second, ladies and gentlemen.
As cold as it could be. But...
See, this is the reason why Surlana does more talking than I do.
Professional radio listeners, this is how it's done, live.
What's professional about this? I have no idea.
Sarcasm.
We got ginger ale on hand to the rescue.
At least you have a cough button. Okay.
All right, I'm back. So I didn't realize I was going to be...
You were saying...
Yeah. See, it gets me all choked up just talking about it. I think at the end of the day, what it is that we've got to be vigilant when we're presented evidence like this, that we got, can't take it for face value. We got to weigh it with a grain of salt. And, it's just so easy to get sucked into something that is so cool looking, or, that falls right into our paradigm that we're currently thinking or we want to believe. Like, for example, when the supposedly tapes that were leaked out of the alien at Roswell, and it showed this alien and it looked like he was choking and he was dying to death. So
dying to death.
That one.
I mean,
that's the way to put
so
it.
On that video, Dina, when you saw that, you thought, "Wow, this is pretty impressive," right?
Well, he was being. It looked to me like that alien, and Whitley Strieber commented on it when it first came out. Like the alien was being, interrogated.
Mm-hmm. But didn't Whitney said to the effect that he was kind of like taken back by it because.
Because it was a suffering sentient being who obviously was suffering, and was not any place where anybody probably totally understood how his physiology worked, so to speak. They were trying to help him, but they couldn't.
But his testimony, when he said that, it made you believe that much more that this was a real alien, correct?
Yes. Yeah, if it's the same video I recall, that was it, because he said the way it was reacting, and it was starting to get kind of shaky before it had the whatever that was, the attack.
Mm-hmm. So that's my problem is that people that we've grown to respect and acknowledge as experts, we're taking that information as full fact at full face value. Now, I'm not.
I see your point.
I'm not saying that Strieber is going to lie to you. I've read Communion. I've read his other books, and his writings are very interesting, to say the least, and have kept me up at night sometimes. So,
yeah.
And so I think that we need to be vigilant and. Richard Hoagland once said this on Art Bell one time about the truth is a moving target. It was brought up because, something was brought up and, he had said something about something and it wasn't totally 100% accurate. And that's when he brought up that the truth is a moving target. So we have to be ready to move with that target in order to get the most accurate information. We can't just take things for face value. I've often worried about, how can one trust what they see, especially dealing with these beings, when they can manipulate our minds and our consciousness to a point to make us believe whatever we want to see, to keep us calm and docile. So.
No, I follow what you're saying. I mean, the moving target is right. It's like you have to be tactical. But whether it is E.T. or one of the various races that are supposedly visiting or interacting, or whether it's our military-industrial complex, or whether it's a politician. I mean, anytime you have intelligent, sentient people from wherever they're from in the galaxy or universe, unfortunately, we're always thinking, most people are thinking selfishly, and some people are thinking in an evil way. I don't know what causes some people to have to attack others, but most sentient beings want to be in control. Mm-hmm. And so the way that control is presented is by lying or just straight out manipulation or omitting facts or incidents that would make someone that you are trying to influence, believe you, and then therefore make your job easier of being in control and being safe yourself. It's a sad thing, though, when it's overused or it's used to the point where someone has to win and someone has to lose. That's the sad thing. The ideal balance of nature would be that everything goes around in a cycle fashion, if you follow me, mm-hmm. where, there's a beginning and an end, but it starts over. But when you get people using cunning or trying to, play chess, so to speak, with facts and figures and even lives. This is what, this is part of what the resurgence in the late 60s was about. Love it or hate it, there was a reaction against, coming out of World War II, everything being controlled and everybody had to be vanilla. There was not a whole lot of room. There are a lot of lies in history, in every country, it seems, where they come to a certain time and, and they hurt people and then they try to cover it up, and that's what we're seeing now. I mean, I hear people openly on the internet talking about, they're either for the current United States administration or against it, but many people saying, I think we're headed for another civil war on the same scale as the 1850s. And that's a scary thing because, again, it's about control and sometimes disinformation. And what comes to mind is I heard Paul Hellyer, who's getting pretty old, former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, who, recently said again what he's been saying for years. Not only do UFOs exist, he's seen documented top secret things from America because he was in a sensitive position in the Canadian government. But the bottom line he's pushing now is 0 point energy. He said, look, there are these beings. They're coming here from light years away. How they do it, we're not 100% sure. Maybe we are, but he doesn't know. But he goes, I do know that they have an energy source. Well, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because in our current discussion, if you had energy where it was so cheap or free that we didn't need a big company to deliver it, we didn't need to use profit or loss just to have lights and heat and be able to cook our food or preserve it, that would take some pressure off, control, disinformation, and lying. Because when people are in their own house and they could have their own energy and not have to worry about a power line coming in, if they could have some kind of a transportation vehicle when they didn't want to walk that was powered, but you didn't have to go to a gas station to fill up, it would make society a little less competitive, I think. So that's where I think that is. And so we're being lied to because we don't have that type of energy and ability for all people, rich, poor, in between, to have a little bit of a more equal playing field in living, just living.
Hey, we have a question from one of the space cadets. Gene is asking about what your thoughts are about the ice found in the crater on Mars.
Oh, that's a fascinating thing because there's the disinformation you talk about. For years, it's hard for me to believe, with all the probes and satellites and now rovers from not just NASA but from other countries, that they didn't know until now or the last year or two and admit to us that there's quite a bit of water on that planet. And from what I've been hearing, I think there's some BS out there, but what I've been seeing is that supposedly the skies of Mars can be kind of blue, but they keep doctoring the photos. I don't know if that's a conspiracy, but why all the photos we see are kind of hazy and it's got a red dust everywhere. And some people say that if that's being hidden from us, it's because there's an agenda, whether it's real estate agenda or the future of, the privilege getting off this planet if it gets any worse. I don't know, but that is amazing. At the very least, that if you want to send somebody there to do whatever, scientific research or, mining, I think mining asteroids would be easier, but for all these materials that are probably all around the universe, things that we find precious like gold and maybe even lithium for batteries is more abundant. It's just we only are stuck on the planet. So, they want to keep people off. They don't want people of our generation to know that there might be a little less inhospitable there for our kind. So they're
what
giving us
uses
all
dry ice? You said it was dry ice in that crater.
Well, the polar
Well, I don't
regions.
know if it's dry ice.
Yeah.
I've heard they also have H2O. I mean, the point is, there's hydrogen. Look at your basic chemistry. Hydrogen is number one. It's the basic chemical that's abundant throughout our solar system, probably throughout the galaxy and universe. They know this from measuring from telescopes and all. So once you have hydrogen, you can make water. Easy. H2O. You know, and it's an easy thing to make. So once you have water, you can do many, many things. You can grow food, you can, bathe, you can survive,
Right.
So I think that's a very significant thing that the average person doesn't think about. But maybe, I don't know, I'm getting near the end, and Gene is too, hopefully not too soon, but hopefully in our lifetimes, this would be something that would be significant enough to affect economics, the economy, and quality on Earth, because, hydrogen and water are key for our kind to thrive.
Well, here's the thing that frustrates me a lot about these probes, Dino, and I think I might have talked to you about this at one time or another, is that, we spent all this money on these probes, and we're sending them into locations that, quite frankly, are not that interesting to look at. Let's go sample a little rock here. We already have, you talk about the pyramids on Mars. You talk about the face on Mars. I say let's drop one of these rovers right near one of these things and take a ground look at these things. That to me is more interesting than a little crater hopping that these probes that we're sending on these
get
missions.
up there and get up on it.
Yeah. I mean, we spend all this money, and I say we, the government spends all our money to send these probes to areas that, quite frankly, I don't think they're that fascinating.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so simple. It's amazing. You guys get it. I mean, all these probes, and yes, it is part of our tax money being used because, well, we won't go into the dark money and the dark budgets. If you could ever get Catherine Austin Fitz to call in even for an hour.
Yeah. She says follow the money and you'll follow it. Yeah, you see where all the stuff happens.
Oh, yeah, and I thought it would be boring. I didn't know who she was about 2 years ago, and she was at a local expo, and I went in. This gal had it together. But anyway,
look
that's
her up on
another
YouTube.
Topic. Yeah. But at any rate, that money is being used, and then, we keep going in, and then after how many probes are up there, they finally put a probe that looks for life, or that, all they're doing is drilling into rock. Yeah, that's fine for the first rovers, but, there are other interesting areas. And why, I can understand the first time you want to go to the direct point, just like on the moon. We didn't land on the back of the moon. We landed where you could be direct sight of Earth. But now that they've been on Mars enough, they haven't sent anything that lands that they've told us about to either of the poles of Mars, because that's going to be a different environment than near the equator like they seem to be all the time now.
Right.
And then specifically what you're saying for our audience, we believe, there might be artifacts of, if not us, a secret base, a la Barra, but, to just some kind of artifacts of some type of civilization or, intelligent life use of Mars, either in the past or now. So, and it's like those areas are avoided, like we're a bunch of nuts. Oh, yeah, that's what they want people to think. Oh, we're not going to send it there. That's nothing. But yet, from what I read, the original photographs from the early years before the rovers, that there are people that have said that some of those photographs that were in the archives were pulled out, and you could find before computer photo editing, people were being paid apparently to do it by hand because they find evidence of tampering with what are supposed to be scientific evidence, photographs from our tax money. So, people who don't believe in conspiracies, fine. Not all conspiracies are real. Some of them are fantastical, but the reason people come up with them is not always crazy. Indeed, many conspiracies turn out to be true. There have been many in history, and there are many today. And this, it's like being bullied. It's like someone who comes out and tries to present it in a reasonable way. They're not whacked out, and they're not high or drunk, and they've come up with a theory about why some things are this way, and they try to present evidence, and then immediately get bullied, like, oh, you're nuts, you're crazy. Then they get attacked personally, even maybe their race or their gender or whatever it is. And this has got to stop. If if we're going to evolve, not only as a country, we can't be doing like, unfortunately, some of the countries on the other side of the world that were in a quagmire and all these military stuff. They're still throwing stones at people when they don't agree with them, put them in a hole in the ground and stone them. Well, come on, if we're are we much better? You know, we're not throwing stones, but we're certainly ruining people's lives in other ways that try to tell us about things that they think are true. Mm-hmm. And all I'm saying is, like you said, why don't we use the tools, the instruments we have, whether it's space exploration or what's in Antarctica or what's under the ocean, to follow out. I mean, there's another example. What was it? Over 3 years ago, a lot of excitement, even got into the mainstream media. There's some anomaly under Point Doom off of Malibu. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, we don't hear anything about it.
No, it was a big deal. It was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, and I asked one person about it, and they said, "Oh, keep quiet. Don't tell anybody. We're going to try to send some probes down and all that." And then nothing. A year or two later, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's like I said, gee, did someone get to you? Did one of the alphabet agencies tell you to shut up because it really is some kind of secret, American military base? I heard nothing. And that, to me, that smells of a conspiracy, And I've asked people online, they go, oh, well, they found out it was nothing. They went, well, show us then, because
mm-hmm.
they were sure trying to tell us that it was something when it first broke.
It's kind of like in math. Remember how they would tell you had to show your work to come to your final answer? Show us your proof of how you solved this answer. And I agree with you. I mean, if they sent probes down there, then shouldn't we be presented the evidence that, hey, this is what it is, no need to get all twisted up inside. This is what it is. It's a natural formation, and here's the video footage, and go with it. But it's kind of like tying back into what I said earlier, what Richard Hoagland said about the truth being a moving target. We have to be diligent when we search for the truth and be persistent, and but at the same time, as we're going along on this journey to find the truth, that it's documented so that the next generation has a path set forth so that they can clearly hit the target with a little bit more accuracy.
Yeah, they should have the data. If it's data and it's been gathered in an objective, honest way, then where, like you said, in our old math class, where are your calculations? How did you come to this answer? And indeed, when you show calculations in math, not always, but there are some times where two people can get the same answer, but they use different calculations. Well, same with scientific data. You do have to make sure it's accurate and all, but I've done experiments and if you have to follow the steps, and sometimes people will come out with different answers. Mm-hmm. Well, then you have to analyze how did you get those. But no, I mean, we're talking about the Malibu underwater base. How do we even know a probe was sent down? That was just something a couple of people told me. Can I believe them? Did they know, or was it BS? So let's see it then.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you and I are talking about.
Show us the evidence. I mean, it's not like we're persecuting anybody here. We're just trying to say, hey, okay, you solved the riddle. Let's see how did you solve it. How did you get to that conclusion? I mean, where's the evidence? This also reminds me of another story that Linda Moulton Howe reported on. You remember they were reporting about these pyramids off the coast of Cuba?
I know a little bit. I haven't been as up on that, but yes, I remember reading about
it. It was quite some time ago, and but that story kind of deep-sixed, if you'll pardon the expression, and we had never heard anything beyond that. But that was a fascinating thing about pyramids, located just off the coast of Cuba. And I know that there was an issue trying to get permits or whatever to get a sub down there because of the area, But but once again, when we need to be knowledgeable of these stories too, like this Cuba thing off the coast, the pyramids thing. Because it's amazing when you start listening to these things, and then all of a sudden poof, they disappear like hocus pocus.
Well, you know, you're right. Eric von Daniken, years ago when I first read his books back in the 70s, I mean, and they did a little bit of filming too. There are a lot of underwater things that could be explored better. There supposedly some kind of a road, he said, wasn't there, in the Mediterranean. It's a no-brainer. But I thought in that same Caribbean area there was some other stuff that like showed huge underwater walls.
Yeah, in fact, off the coast of Florida, heading to Bermuda, I believe that there were these stoned, it looked like roads, if you will. I do recall that story. And
yeah, like highways. And this is of the same nature with these pyramids. If there's any kind of construction underwater, let's look into it more. But we've done less exploring on the ocean than we have in our universe at this point, from what I've been reading.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that when you're talking about the exploration of our oceans, there's a lot of water that has not been explored on our very own planet versus other places that we've explored in the universe. So you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, and I mean, they're all important. I mean, I've argued with some people for years, we spend too much money, people are starving, and we're going into space. But I think at this point, the new generation, I think, gets it. But a lot of people don't realize that Stephen Hawking wasn't the only one that told us that to survive as a species, we're getting such a population, and we all want, even the third world countries, when they see how the first world lives, we all want these high lifestyles, which compared to running around with bow and arrow and hardly any machines, a couple of centuries ago. And so the only way to survive is to go into space. Mm-hmm. And it's not just Isaac Asimov science fiction thing. I mean, I think these were the visionaries because they kind of, they saw the writing on the wall. We look around, I don't want to get negative, but most of us in America, the vast population densities and where the pollution is at the coastlines, the east and west coast and down by the Gulf. And, I'm guilty of that too. I love the ocean and lived near it all my life. But everybody wants to live here. And yeah, there's lots of wide open space. And some of that people could live if they didn't want to, but we're a social animal. But some people don't want to live isolated. And that goes into the Bigfoot thing. I've become in the last couple of years just obsessed with every bit of research and stories that I can hear about Sasquatch, from something I thought was just a legend or maybe an unusual creature to I think that there's a vast population of them, and the way they can exist and people, I don't see them, is because most people live in the city. Most people are not out in the woods ever or not that often, just for a week camping trip. And, this is about going into space. There may be other species where we're not the top predator, and how can they survive? Because there's vast areas, even in our country, of open space and wilderness that hardly anybody goes to. So, the same thing with space. If there are other civilizations, we believe that, then logically they've expanded too. They didn't just sit on their planet once they could transport. And then when they get to other planets, once you go beyond exploration, as Lewis and Clark did, well, it was within 25 years, the West was won,
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite a thing. It's, these are the kind of mysteries I love shows like yours and shows like yours that maybe get more people talking, that it's not just ha-ha, wink, wink, I think more and more comes out that maybe this is the truth, that there is still mystery in the world, that we don't have all the answers, and you're not going to get everything by staring down at an electronic device. Just because you can talk to someone or on the other side of the world doesn't mean you're learning that much more. You have to explore and observe.
You got to get your hands dirty. You got to dig. You got to move some ground, dig it up, and it's like those ancient civilizations. They're buried, and the only way we're going to find out about them is to unbury them. So, it's all about the exploration, as Surlana and I always tell everybody, exploring the universe. You're not going to find...
explore your own mind.
Yeah.
You can explore the cat as she comes into the room.
That's cute. Well, the cat knows I'm right. They're not stupid. Wanted to get its 2 cents in.
Well, Dino, I sure do appreciate you calling in all the time, and I know all the Space Cadets appreciate you being in here and on the air with us, and I appreciate you having the call occasionally that we have off hours, just kind of picking each other's brain and talking about different things, and so it just wanted you to know that we love you to death, Dino.
Well, no, I appreciate, because I like exploring these topics, and in the wintertime, if I don't have something to do, it's company, and all the people in the chat room, all our friends, and I hope we can get Bear in here more often. He sees he's loved, and I kind of don't want to hang up now. I'd like people to start sending me money. Heck, all these big evangelists are millionaires doing the same thing I do now. How come I don't get money sent to me? Just kidding. I don't need that much more money. I just want to stay alive, and healthy, and have a few luxuries. And as we get older, I hope people realize you don't need to buy everything. Have a time of the year like Black Friday. Years ago, I joined an organization called Buy Nothing Day. That's what they call it. They said we're over-capitalized in this country, and capitalism is king. And while it does, on some levels, give us a good lifestyle, don't be people poo-pooing certain aspects of democratic socialism. They act like it's a sin, but true democratic socialism in its own form says at least that people will get food, shelter, and medical care on demand. You might not get as fancy a house as someone who works harder, but we gotta stop getting our wealth and our education, everything on the backs of people who work very hard for us and sometimes live shorter lives. Well, anyhow, that's my little rant today, but let's keep searching for E.T., Sasquatch, cryptids, and maybe not everything, not all magic is BS, maybe,
Mm-hmm. We hear you, Dino.
Okay. All right, well, I'll be listening.
All right.
Have a good Christmas if I don't talk to you before, all you people.
Happy Christmas.
Okay.
All right, there you go. This segment has been brought to you by Spaceboy Actually Talking instead of Surlana.
Yeah, that was great. I caught up on some reading, looked at the chat.
But you did engage with the chat.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt the bromance, so it's good.
Dino,
Dino
is good people.
Yes, he is, and I love not talking. It's great.
But the cadets will tell you that they like tuning in to hearing your research.
Well, maybe we should just get them. We can wean them off of it. I imagine. Get them used to it.
Yeah, watch this. Space Cadets. If Surlana was to disappear from this program, would you be heartbroken?
Not in an ominous way.
Would you be heartbroken?
Not that he killed me or anything. Just saying.
I like how you preface it that.
What if I had an early retirement? Let's put it that way.
They're not going to let you go, especially Bev. She can't imagine not tuning in and not being able to hear you.
Bev can call me on Skype or something. It doesn't have to be public. I mean.
Yes, I agree with you, Gene. Dino would be a great guest host.
There would be no one to laugh at your forehead bleeding.
The dynamics of the show would change immensely.
If you found somebody, maybe if you had a family member that was on this level, you could probably get by. But I don't know everybody in your family, so it would be a candidate.
See, Dino, we need her. You, not as much on the air. LOL. Thanks, Dino.
What is that supposed to mean?
They're saying they need you. See, I've made you a valuable member of the universe.
Not whatever.
Nobody wants to depart with that value.
I still think, I'm still kind of bitter about how you wrote me into this. You didn't ask if I wanted to do, and then, I have to come up with the content.
The fact is that I proved that people want to hear you. accent and all.
But it was dirty and underhanded. And
Well,
you should feel bad. I think you should still feel bad
remember,
about it.
Remember our earlier conversation about me being charismatic and...
Yes, and that's why I'm telling you, you could float this on. What if I provided the content and I wrote it up so good, it's like you were speaking it, no one would ever know, and it's just all you.
Dino says, no, I meant SB does not need her interrupting you, SB.
See? I'm not needed.
Anyway, so, what do we got coming up down the pipe?
It's not too early to be talking about that?
No.
Okay. We'll be here next week, and I think, I'm not saying it's a big show, but I'm going to really get my hands into it. So it'll be the 29th? So it'll be our last Saturday of the month of the year.
Our last show of the year.
Last show of the year. So we're going to do a recap of 2018. And, of course, our prediction show. And I have to tell you, from some of the things I've already seen, it's not looking good. And if we make it to 2020, it's just going to keep going downhill. So be warned, it could be a bit of a bummer. So,
it might come down to the great civil war of Star Wars.
You know how we talk about, we've carried over certain things like the future of VR, the future of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to keep up with that. Where are we now with this, that, and the other? We talked about quantum computing this year. I don't know that was in our predictions, but I'm going to try to incorporate that into things because
you should say that talk for that conversation.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I told you the end of privacy is coming. The beginning of censorship is here already in Europe. So it's nothing to be happy about, really. So if you want to...
I brought up cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so if you want to come be depressed, join us next Saturday at the end of the year. You told me cryptocurrency is maybe not what they're telling us is not what it seems because of certain reasons. But we'll get it. We'll include that in the predictions and the recap both.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to find
predictions of the future.
The trick is I got to find last year's notes, and if I can't, I'll just have to start from scratch. And if I missed something, I missed something. So, but I have updated all this on our website. I put up the show schedule, and so that's the 29th recap and year in review. And the following Saturday is January the 5th, and we're so pleased that Robert Sullivan IV has decided to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try to use maybe some different technology to connect with him. And he's gracious enough to come back. So we're looking forward to actually speaking to him about
Hollywood
cinema symbolism. And I really regret that things didn't work out with technology, and Skype was acting up all over the country. And so I think it's lovely that he's agreed to come back.
And he's jazzed. He's looking forward to coming
back. I'm so
and
glad
hang
he
out
wasn't
with us.
annoyed. That was some people would probably be like, "Well, that didn't work out," So.
All right, so we've still got time here, and so what did you think about my moving target of truth, or did you even pay attention to my conversation with Dina?
I've heard you talk about that before. The truth is a moving target. A lot of times, as Picard says, personal truth, historical truth, scientific truth, those can all be three different things. You could have the facts right in front of your face. Here's the evidence. And even then, someone's not going to believe, especially in this day and age where everything can be manufactured, tweaked, altered, faked. So I kind of want to do a show on this to educate people, but I have to go educate myself, and I don't think it's research I can contain in 1 week. Because I would like to talk about, we talked about fake news, but I want to talk about how to spot fake information. What are the tools you can do? And I would love to give examples where our listeners could say, here's an example, what do you think about this? And then, how to break it down. And, basically, I guess it's like teaching common sense, but if things are so good, things can be manipulated so perfectly you can't tell. If a video is fake, you can't tell if that photo is real. You can't tell if this article is factual. I don't blame people for being, bamboozled sometimes. I think I've even been guilty of it, but you've got to be vigilant. If you don't want to just believe everything at face value because you don't have time to look into it, then you get what's coming to you.
Well, another person that I always enjoyed listening to and reading was Jim Marrs. Jim Marrs said, "Don't take my word for it. Actually, go out there and find the truth yourself." And no better words spoken by Mr. Marrs than himself. That the search for the truth. I mean, let's put it this.
Stand up. Face the truth.
Let's put it this way. If you are just going to sit there like a bump on the log, then you deserve what's coming to you. By not being active in the search for the truth. You have to get off your butt and look for it.
Did you know that real reindeer can see in the ultraviolet range? Something we can't do?
Well, last time I checked, I couldn't.
Isn't that interesting? Because when the sun is low on the horizon, during winter, lots of light scatter in the atmosphere, and this light hits our eyes. It's bluish and ultraviolet. So reindeer eyes are equipped with reflective tissue behind the retina that reflects light back through the retina, like when our cat, light hits it a certain way. Mm-hmm. It enhances their night vision. Its layer of tissue changes colors through the season, even in the summer. So it adjusts to the natural light. So they will be able to find your house in the dark.
So I guess it means that Rudolph's nose would have made a difference anyway?
No, they're already equipped for it. They've got the female reindeer have 50% body fat, where the males only have 5% body fat at this time of the year. So meaning the females are much warmer than the males.
So they're fatter.
So it would be better if Santa Claus used the female reindeer because they're not cold. But if they're supposed to be faster than eagles, then it wouldn't be the thick chicks. So maybe it would be the guy reindeers he's using. There's some speculation are Santa's reindeer male or female or a mix of both? The truth is we'll just never know. Because they don't specify gender on the sign-up form. Because they're trying to be PC. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what else before we flip the switch?
That's as far as what's coming up. You're probably going to have a good Christmas day. I'm going to have a good Christmas day. We won't be together, but that's okay. We're together all the time.
Ultimately, that's your best Christmas day, right? Not being there.
We'll be together for the rest of our lives. One day apart isn't going to kill us. I mean, the question is, would I dump you for catfish? Well, it's obvious. I would dump anyone for catfish. It's really good catfish. If I bring some back, you ain't getting none.
See how you are?
Oh, she said her mother is making me my own batch of Christmas cookies. See, someone likes me.
Well, that's because you're actually being bribed to being like.
Hey, I started an awesome tradition in another family. How cool is that?
God forbid you'd start an awesome tradition in our family here.
We have. It's called not being here on Christmas Day.
You give the false impression to our audience that you just want to get as far away from me as possible.
You're invited to come. She says you have an open invitation, but you already have this set up with your family, and it happens on the same day, and I can't help that. So,
this is why, why parents should not get divorced and create multiple families.
Well, there was some speculation about why you have these reasons you won't go to that house, but then you'll go there because those reasons are invalid. I'm like, it's because when you go to your family, you're welcome like a prodigal son. People hug you and kiss you, and you're like a rock star, and it feeds into your ego. So that you go get there and you get this energy boost where I'm just like, get out of my way, get between me and this catfish. Okay, I got what I wanted. Bye, y'all.
Yeah, you go up there, get loved in your own way.
I'm going to pet. She's got a herd of horses. I went up there Thanksgiving, and I got to pet a foal, a baby horse, and its mother. I got to pet the donkey and a miniature horse.
That just sounds wrong.
And 3 cats, a dog. It's like a freaking zoo up there. I'm going to try to take more pictures of the horses this time. I guess I could. Can you do a live thing on your phone through Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that only for people with certain number of followers?
No, you can do a live feed.
I'll do a live feed, see if anybody looks at it on Christmas Day. Take some live video of horses. Yeah? So, yeah, I'm driving up there. We're both driving a bit a ways away. I mean, maybe 30 some odd miles from me, and then...
About the same for me.
So it's not like we're leaving town.
Well,
we're leaving the zip codes.
Technically, I am leaving town.
Going to another town that's not that far.
It's connected to Houston.
Mine is only 40 minutes away.
I got to go out past Pasadena to LaPorte.
Oh, that's to the east, and I'm going north.
Yes. Congratulations, Billy.
Yeah. That's something. But in the meantime, I do get all week off, and then it'll just be spent cleaning this house.
Well, the cool thing is tomorrow we're going to be working on the Spaceboy music concert that will be coming up on YouTube Live.
Yep.
We're working on the production on that tomorrow, and
finishing up.
Hopefully we get this thing done soon so that y'all can hang out with a live Spaceboy music concert event. So.
And like I said, I'm hoping to finish off our online merchandise store so we can get that up and linked to our website. You can start getting some cool products, updated products after. It'll probably be after Christmas when you can start buying something. I don't know. Because I don't imagine everybody's probably shopped out by now. You know what I'm saying? They're done buying stuff for the year.
Realistically, I mean, there's not really anything... I mean, other than a tea kettle that you want, there's not anything I want.
Well, there's some alcohol I wouldn't mind having. But it's like $25 a bottle, so I feel bad about asking for something like that. So
it's about the price you usually pay for your liquor.
But I have a robust wish list. If you're done to get me something, but it's fine. I know I don't deserve it. I've been bad.
You've been mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've been bad. So I'm not pushing the issue.
So anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, join us next week when it'll be actually a live show compared to some of our dead shows. And Surlana and I will bring you...
It's going to be a good show.
It's going to be a good show, yes.
There'll be plenty of content.
Lots of content. And maybe Surlana will actually let me talk. So, on that note...
I'm all for you doing all the talking. I'll type up the notes, you say them.
We'll see you next week. Good night, Space Cadets.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Associate producer is Leanne Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Leanne K, K28, Dino, Solars Blue Raven, Patrick Sporer, Bob and Beverly N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.
Hi, I'm Spaceboy.
And I'm Surlana.
And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe
on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.